In 1775, Alcatraz, also called La Isle de les Alcatraces, or Island of the Pelicans, was charted and titled by Juan Manuel de Ayala, a Spanish explorer. The rock was established in San Francisco Bay dozens of years before the penitentiary was even built or housed military offenders, and then eventually it housed desperate federal prisoners for over nearly 30 years. For almost 75 years, the island served as a military prison for infantry offenders from both the western United States and individuals from overseas captures. By the late 1850s, President Fillmore signed an order that reserved Alcatraz for the United States military. This island not only held Army prisoners during the time, but it also played a vital role in military defense of the San Francisco harbor. On top of the island, the U.S. Army constructed a citadel, or a fortress, to be able to oversee the waters of the harbor. From there, they installed over 100 cannons, which made Alcatraz the utmost heavily fortified military site on the West Coast. The island became a federal prison the following year in August. The federal government decided to use this penitentiary as a maximum security, minimum privilege facility to deal with the most incurable inmates in federal penitentiaries on the mainland. This action showed all law-abiding citizens and the public that the government was serious about stopping flagrant crimes during the 1920s and 1930s to ensure safety in society. This new display of retribution and isolation was detached from the public's oversight, both politically and geographically. During its nearly 30 years of usage, the prison held some of the United States' most notorious criminals in American history. Some of those individuals are Al Capone, Robert Franklin Stout, also known as the Birdman of Alcatraz, George Machine Gun Kelly, Bumpy Johnson, Frank Morris, John Anglin, and Clarence Anglin. Alcatraz was seen as a beneficial opportunity because it allowed for these high-profile inmates to be kept away from society. By isolating them from the outside world on an island of its own, it was thought that these offenders would be away from all temptations. This was seen as the final step for Americans' most wicked prisoners. Although there were several well-known criminals housed at Alcatraz, it mostly incarcerated inmates who refused to comply to statutes and regulations at other federal institutions, generally concerned with violent and dangerous behavior, or whom were considered flight risks. By moving these individuals to the island, it allowed for them to be removed from society and allowed for the distance to the mainland to be used as a deterrence in escape attempts. In most cases, there was one man to a cell, and most inmates preferred these living conditions, which caused several inmates to request to be transferred to Alcatraz. The target of Alcatraz was if an inmate wasn't behaving at another federal institution, he would be moved to Alcatraz. At Alcatraz, the highly structured, repetitive, periodic routines were devised to teach inmates to follow and abide by rules and regulations. Prisoners here would be told that they had 4 basic rights: medical care, clothing, shelter, and food. Anything after that was a privilege that needed to be earned. Inmates could earn recreational time, such as working out, painting, etc., have access to the library, have visits with family members, or they could earn work. Inmate labor fueled most of the construction of the new cell house, mess hall, hospital, and other structure on Alcatraz Island. Other than construction labor, inmates also worked on craftsmanship, such as building cargo nets, as this picture depicts. Once prison officials felt as if the man no longer posed any threats and could abide by regulations and rules set forth within prison systems, then he could be transferred back to the mainland to a federal prison to finish his sentence and then be released. Spanning the 29 years of operation as a federal prison system, there was 36 prisoners who made 14 escape attempts, 2 tried escaping more than once, 23 inmates were caught, 6 were shot and killed, 2 drowned in the wicked currents of San Francisco Bay, and 5 are left unaccounted for. Although there wasn't always secure preservation in this prison as the newspapers show, the island was seen as a way to secure prisoners in a more effective way. To this day, there are still concepts and mysteries that surround the rock, and some we may never know the answers to.